Welcome to the No Tracers podcast. I am your host, K, just the letter K. If you guys are into abandoned places, if you're into exploring the world around you, this is the podcast for you. Thank you for tuning in this week. I appreciate it. If you missed the first two episodes, please go back and check them out. They're pretty good episodes, especially as introductions to this podcast. So if you're new, definitely check those episodes out. I'm going to have guests on. So if you're an urban explorer and you take pictures or if you just explore, I want to hear from you. Hit me up at no.tracers on Instagram. I will put a link in the description to both my Instagram and my Twitter if you guys are interested in following along with my journey there. And if you want to leave some feedback or if you want to leave a rating on this podcast, you can do that as well. And if you leave feedback on this podcast, I will actually send you a signed photo print from an abandoned place that I have explored that you can hang up on your wall. So before we get started, I need to let you guys know that I have a book out called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary, and it is full of stories and photographs from the abandoned places I've been exploring over the past 4 years. If you want to pick up a copy, head to justtheletterk.com/notracers. I will sign it for you and I will send it to you as soon as this coronavirus quarantine has lifted and we're allowed to mail things again. But without further ado, we're going to jump into this episode on exploring with a buddy versus exploring alone. So I started exploring when I was 14. And if you missed the intro episode, I actually talk about how I got started exploring. But I started exploring when I was 14. I went with my brothers while I explored, and I did a little bit of exploration by myself. And over the years, I have gone back and forth on exploring with friends and exploring alone. And I have to say, exploring with a friend is way, way, way cooler than exploring by yourself. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. The first reason I think it's super incredible to have somebody else with you is because you can actually create content with that other person. It's always nice to bounce ideas off of each other. They can film you, you can film them, yada, yada, so on and so forth. And so it's great to be able to have somebody to bounce your ideas and your content creation off on. So that's one huge reason is content creation. And that's why most of us are doing this stuff. We're doing it because we love this kind of content. We love the beauty of decay. And so we love capturing that with our cameras. So having somebody else there to help you capture content is always a bonus. Another reason you should explore with somebody else is because you never know what kind of situation you're going to get in these abandoned places. For example, if there's a hole in the floor and you fall through that hole, who the fuck is going to get you out of there? Your friend. That's right. That's why we explore with people. We explore with at least one other person just in case you fall through a floor and they have to rescue you and your legs are broken. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in these old decaying buildings. You really just have no freaking idea. I know that overpasses, that's a freeway term. I'm trying to say like a pedestrian overpass. So I've seen pedestrian overpasses in abandoned hospitals completely collapse. So you just never know what's going to happen in one of these abandoned places. The floors are not always stable. The roof is not always stable. If a beam from the roof falls down on you, you're probably going to want your friend there to help you get out of that situation. Not only because of the structural impurities of these abandoned buildings, but there could also be homeless people in there. Safety is in numbers, so the more people you have with you, the safer you're going to be, and the more likely you will be able to get out of a situation versus if you're by yourself and say a crazy methed out homeless person tries to attack you and you can't defend yourself. You're going to have a bad time. It's not going to end very well, and who knows what could happen to you. So I like to bring friends with me for safety purposes. I have been assaulted before, so I know what it's like to be in a scary situation like that. I have PTSD from it, and it has definitely changed my perspective on the world, which is another reason I bring people with me to explore abandoned places. I've never had an incident in an abandoned place, but I really hope that I never do, and I hope that you never have an incident in an abandoned place because, you know, being assaulted is the worst thing ever. It is the actual worst. So bring a friend with you. Bring a friend with you. And another reason to bring a friend with you would be, you know, just having company. Just having somebody there is always comforting. Some of these places we explore are haunted. I don't know if you believe in ghosts or not, but some of these places are haunted, and sometimes we get this really eerie, scary feeling when we go into a dark corridor, and it's nice to be able to look at your friend, see that they're feeling the same thing, and say, hey, do you think we should get the fuck out of here? I think that's super important to be able to bounce that off of somebody else, just to make sure you're on the same page. And a lot of the times when you do feel that feeling, you just book it straight out of the abandoned building. We'll go into haunted places, though. We'll talk about that a little bit in a future episode of the No Tracers podcast. But this isn't about haunted places. This is just about bringing friends with you. And this is probably going to be a shorter episode just because it's so simple. Like, just bring a friend with you, honestly. Another huge reason you should bring someone with you to explore an abandoned place is because they can help you get in, they can help you get out, they can help you climb, they can give you a boost up onto things. It's always nice to have a helping hand, and I recently explored a couple places with this guy named URBEX Off Limits. You probably know him on Instagram. He posts some absolutely amazing photography. And if you don't know who he is, definitely check him out. He also has a YouTube channel, URBEX Off Limits. Check it out. And he gave me a boost up into a building. And I couldn't have gotten in there without him. So if he hadn't been there, there's no way I would have explored this place. And it was a really cool church. It was actually a double church. So back in the day, they used to have 2 different chapels in churches, and it's always been super interesting to explore churches, but this one was very fascinating because it was a double church. So it had one side that was had a full congregation, and then the other side had a full congregation as well, and then one side had an organ, the other side had just upstairs seating. It was super cool to check out, and I absolutely loved it. But like I said, without URBEX Off Limits, there's no way I would have gotten into that building. So your friends can help you get into buildings. Another reason to bring a friend is that if security stops you, if the police stop you, it's easier to talk your way out of it. If you're with somebody, you can just say, hey, we're photographers. We're just checking this place out. We're not trying to vandalize or cause trouble. We're just taking photos. And oftentimes they will let you guys go. So definitely bring a friend. Like, I'm just going to keep repeating myself in this episode because I think it's super important to have somebody there with you. Mostly for safety reasons, to be completely honest. Like, it all goes back to safety in numbers. So if you guys are thinking about exploring, maybe ask a friend. But maybe none of your friends want to explore. Maybe you want to explore by yourself. Maybe that's your thing. Maybe you feel more comfortable doing that. You're definitely different than me if that's the case. You're probably a dude, first of all. I'm not a dude. But I think dudes feel more comfortable being by themselves in abandoned places. I feel a little bit apprehensive about going into abandoned places by myself just because I am a girl, and there's that added element of like, oh fuck, something could happen to me if there's somebody else in this building that has bad intentions. So not that guys can't get like attacked or raped or any of that stuff, because that does happen. But as a girl, I just feel like I am more cautious when it comes to exploring. That being said, I have explored a couple places by myself. There was an abandoned insane asylum in Indianapolis that I explored. That was super cool, and it was covered in ice, and I fell on my ass, and I was like, damn, I wish I had a friend here to like help me get up right now. But yeah, I explored that one by myself, which was probably not the safest thing. I ended up hanging a hammock by myself between 2 beams that was like hanging over I don't even know what it was. It was like a big vat. It was basically like a vat that had collapsed, and I was just hammocking over this open area, and it was super sketchy, and I shouldn't have done it, but I did it, and I was by myself. And if I had somebody there with me, I would have felt a lot safer. So again, it goes back to safety. But if you do want to explore by yourself, go for it. Just don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say your friends didn't warn you. And if you get into trouble, you're going to have to call the cops or an ambulance, and that's going to suck and be super embarrassing. So bring a friend with you. And that is basically the conclusion to this episode. Just bring somebody with you. My name is Kay Nagonio. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of No Tracers, the podcast. If you did enjoy it, please let me know by leaving a rating and some feedback. And if you leave feedback, I will send you a signed photo print. I will do it. I will absolutely positively do it. If you guys are new, hit that subscribe button and come back for the next episode. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Go out, go create something, and leave no trace.